When we talk about NBA greatness, certain names are just automatic. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird, just to name a few. Legends whose legacies have been replayed, retold, and relived for decades. Welcome back to Underdog Hustle. My name is Tyler. If you like NBA stories and videos just like this one, subscribe to the channel. Buried beneath the highlight reels and the championship banners, there are careers. Legendary careers that history simply forgot. And today, we're talking about the one player whose greatness was undeniable, whose impact profound, but whose name is barely whispered. Meet Sidney Moncrief. Born in Little Rock, Arkansas, a player who embodied everything basketball is supposed to be about. Hard work, defense, unselfishness, and quiet but consistent excellence. At the University of Arkansas, Moncrief was part of the legendary Triplets, a trio that transformed Razorbacks basketball into a national powerhouse. His athleticism, off the charts. His work ethic, unmatched. And his competitive spirit, that was fierce. In 1979, the Milwaukee Bucks selected him with the 5th overall pick, a small market team in a league that was on the verge of exploding with superstar power. And yet, Moncrief quickly made his mark. Moncrief wasn't flashy. He wasn't the human highlight reel like Dominique Wilkins. And he wasn't raining threes like Larry Bird, but night after night, season after season, Sidney Moncrief delivered. Offensively, he averaged over 20 points per game during his prime. His mid-range jumper, that was automatic. Drives to the rim were fearless, and his efficiency, well, that was elite. But what truly set him apart was his defense. Moncrief was a defensive savant before the league even had language for two-way superstars. In fact, when the NBA introduced the Defensive Player of the Year award in 1983, guess who won the very first one? Sidney Moncrief. And then he won it again the next year. He was a 5-time All-Star and a 5-time member of the All-NBA Defensive First Team, and a respected leader both on and off the court. Even Michael Jordan, the GOAT himself, once admitted that Moncrief was one of the toughest defenders he had ever faced. So with that level of greatness, why does almost nobody talk about Sidney Moncrief? 2 reasons: market and timing. Moncrief played for the Milwaukee Bucks, a small market overshadowed by the glitz and glamour of Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, and New York. And timing, well, couldn't have been worse. Moncrief's prime collided with the rise of the Magic Johnson Lakers, Larry Bird's Celtics, and eventually he'd run into Michael Jordan's Bulls. During his tenure, the Bucks were one of the league's most consistent teams. I'm talking 7 straight seasons with over 50 wins. But playoff heartbreak, that became their identity. They couldn't get past the dynasties, and in a league where rings often define legacies, Moncrief's brilliance got buried. Injuries also played a part. Chronic knee issues cut short his peak years, and by the time the 90s arrived, Moncrief was all but forgotten in the new era of high-flying superstars. But to those who know, Sidney Moncrief represents something deeper about the game. He proved that greatness isn't always loud. The defense, the dirty work, the effort, the grit, that matters just as much as highlight dunks and three-pointers. Without Moncrief paving the way, players like Kawhi Leonard, Drew Holiday, and Jimmy Butler wouldn't have the same blueprint for their two-way dominance that you see today. In 2019, the Hall of Fame finally recognized his greatness, but even then, the whispers barely turned into conversation. Sidney Moncrief didn't crave the spotlight. He didn't chase media attention. He simply showed up, worked hard, and quietly carved out one of the most underrated yet impactful careers in NBA history. And maybe, just maybe, it's time more people knew that story. What do you think? Is Sidney Moncrief truly the most underrated player in NBA history? or does someone else deserve that title? Let me know in the comments below. And if you love forgotten NBA stories, hidden legends, and the real history behind the game of basketball, make sure to subscribe. We've got plenty more untold stories coming your way. Peace out.